What happens when a routine mission turns into a dangerous clash in one of the world's most contested waters? It began as a routine Philippine Coast Guard mission, delivering supplies and assistance to local fishermen near the Scarborough Shoal, a coral reef claimed by both nations. But soon, Chinese naval and Coast Guard vessels moved in. Using high-pressure water cannons and aggressive maneuvers, they tried to force the Philippine ship away. This was more than just a confrontation at sea. It was a moment that raised urgent questions about sovereignty, safety, and the future of regional stability. And that's exactly the kind of story we cover here. Welcome to Now Leo Know. Here we go beyond surface level news to explore the stories that truly matter. From global conflicts to untold facts, we dive deep to help you understand the why behind today's most pressing issues. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss a moment that could change how you see the world. Now, let's break down what really happened in this tense encounter, why it matters not just for the Philippines, but for the entire region, and what it could mean for the future balance of power in the South China Sea. The standoff reached a startling climax when two Chinese vessels, in their attempt to box in the Philippine ship, collided with each other. The incident left visible damage to one of China's ships and exposed the risks of such confrontations in contested waters. For those aboard, the scene wasn't just about steel scraping steel, it was about standing their ground in one of the most contested maritime zones on the planet. You could feel the tension in the air, the unspoken understanding that any wrong move could escalate into something far more dangerous. And while the waves eventually calmed, the political aftershocks were only beginning to swell. This wasn't just a naval mishap, it was a signal flare in the ongoing struggle for control over the South China Sea, a place where each action is read like a chapter in a much bigger story. Rather than escalating the encounter, the Philippine crew responded with professionalism. They offered medical assistance to the Chinese crew despite the aggression, a move that demonstrated not only maritime discipline, but also a commitment to humanitarian principles, even amid rising tensions. This act didn't just avoid an immediate crisis, it reinforced the Philippines' position as a responsible maritime actor on the world stage. To international observers, that decision spoke volumes. It painted a picture of a nation capable of defending its rights without crossing into reckless provocation. In a region where pride often fuels escalation, this restraint was a calculated message. The Philippines will fight for sovereignty, but it won't abandon the moral high ground. For everyday Filipinos watching from home, the event was a rare moment of unity. Political differences momentarily faded as citizens rallied behind their Coast Guard, proud of the courage and discipline displayed under extreme pressure. China's official response was telling. Beijing did not publicly acknowledge the collision. Instead, state media framed the event as a lawful defensive maneuver to protect Chinese territory. This selective storytelling fits a pattern, one where China projects strength while minimizing any perception of operational mishaps. But as satellite images and eyewitness accounts circulate, the contrast between Beijing's claims and the visible evidence fuels international skepticism. In the world of geopolitics, controlling the story can be just as important as controlling the territory. Beijing's refusal to admit fault wasn't just about saving face, it was about setting the tone for domestic audiences and signaling to other nations that China's resolve remains unshaken. Yet the cracks in that narrative give rivals ammunition. Each disputed claim, each contradicting image chips away at the perception of absolute control that Beijing wants to maintain. The roots of these tensions run deep. The South China Sea is a mosaic of overlapping territorial claims involving China, the Philippines, Vietnam, Brunei, and Malaysia. Among the most disputed areas are the Scarborough Shoal and the Spratly Islands, strategic points rich in fishing grounds and potential energy resources. China's construction of artificial islands and military installations in recent years has only heightened the stakes, despite international rulings rejecting its expansive claims. For centuries, these waters have been more than just lines on a map. They've been lifelines for coastal communities, cultural touchstones, and strategic gateways for empires. That history still fuels modern-day rivalries, giving every skirmish a sense of inherited destiny. And with the world watching, these disputes aren't just regional squabbles anymore. They're proxy stages for global power plays, where history and modern ambition collide. The recent collision is not an isolated event. Over the past year, Philippine vessels have faced repeated confrontations, ranging from blockades to dangerous close passes by Chinese ships. Each incident raises the risk of a serious accident that could trigger a broader diplomatic or even military crisis. The latest clash highlights how quickly tactical maneuvers can spiral into strategic challenges. This cycle of provocation and response is dangerous because it normalizes risk. What once might have been seen as extraordinary, ships ramming each other, laser targeting, water cannon blasts, becomes routine. And when danger becomes routine, the line between deterrence and disaster grows razor thin. Every incident leaves both sides with less room to back down, making the next confrontation potentially more volatile than the last. Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is taking a bold stand on maritime sovereignty. In a recent interview, he highlighted that any conflict in the Taiwan Strait will pull the Philippines into the fray. His remarks have drawn sharp criticism from Beijing, who see them as provocative. But Marcos remains resolute, declaring the Philippines won't yield 1 square inch of its territory. Supporters see this as a refreshing change from years of cautious diplomacy. Critics warn it's a risky gamble that could escalate tensions. Marcos is reshaping the Philippines' image from cautious to assertive. In the South China Sea, perception is as crucial as position. Regional neighbors and global powers like the US are watching closely. As a treaty ally, the US has pledged to defend the Philippines in case of an attack. This security guarantee complicates local disputes, turning them into potential flashpoints. Countries like Japan and Australia are also increasing their naval presence, signaling that freedom of navigation is a global concern. The South China Sea is now a chessboard, where every move is calculated and every piece matters. The South China Sea is more than just a regional issue, it's a vital global trade route. Disruptions here can send shockwaves through the world economy. For China, asserting dominance in these waters enhances its maritime power image. For the Philippines, standing firm is about sovereignty and international law. The balance of deterrence and diplomacy is crucial now more than ever. Even a brief disruption in shipping lanes could impact global markets instantly. These disputes are not just symbolic, they're tied to economic stability. In a fragile supply chain world, instability here could affect your grocery bills, fuel prices, and tech devices. Ever thought about how one maritime incident could ripple through global politics? In the South China Sea, a tense encounter between the Philippines and China escalated dramatically. What started with words turned into a collision at sea. But beneath the surface lies a story of territorial ambition, national pride, and peace in Asia. This isn't just a headline, it's a chapter in a long struggle for control with high stakes. The recent events remind us that the South China Sea is not just about ships and shoals, it's about the principles that govern our oceans. Freedom of navigation, respect for international rulings, and the avoidance of force are not abstract ideals. They are safeguards for stability, commerce, and cooperation. As viewers, understanding these dynamics matters because what happens in these contested waters affects the price of goods, the safety of trade routes, and the future of maritime law. The value here is clear. Informed citizens can hold leaders accountable, demand transparency, and support policies that prevent conflict before it begins. Because in the end, the battles fought here will not only shape the map, they will shape the rules by which the entire world sails. And that's something no one can afford to ignore. For the people whose livelihoods depend on the sea, fishermen, dock workers, traders, these disputes aren't distant headlines. They are daily realities. Every confrontation at sea carries the risk of cutting off income, disrupting families, and undermining the hope of a secure future. That human cost is what turns a geopolitical chess match into a deeply personal struggle. And for the rest of us, even those living thousands of miles away, the ripple effects are real. Every container that fails to reach its port, every shipment that's delayed, has a way of finding its impact in our wallets and in our communities. This is why staying informed, engaged, and vocal isn't just about curiosity, it's about protecting the interconnected world we all share. If this story inspired you or even made you think, don't forget to like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more powerful insights like this. Your voice matters. Let's keep this conversation going and let's grow together.